Hi milkers, welcome back to Tres Leches, the podcast where three Latina friends tell stories, unpack identity, and get real about everything from pop culture to politics.
It's sweet, it's a little messy, and always drenched in milk.
3 kinds of milk, in fact.
And the best part is, you can enjoy our milk even if you're lactose intolerant.
Rate, like, subscribe, and share with someone who gets it, or needs to.
And just like that,
We're back.
welcome back everybody. Welcome back. Hi guys, how are you?
Splendid.
I'm good. I am. Not notifications. Excuse me. Sorry.
Is it a fraud alert?
No, I think it was a notes thing from you on what we're going to talk about today, which is And Just Like That, and Sex and the City, and Sarah Jessica, and Miranda.
I was up in bed late last night. Hello, everybody. Juan here. I was up in bed last night rewatching And Just Like That because I was preparing. I really wanted to be fresh on this season. If we're going to do a post-mortem and look back at the films and fashion and the role it's played in our lives, I wanted to have the most recent iteration very, very fresh. I wanted to really have it at the tip of my tongue. So I rewatched the whole season, and I'm laying in bed, and I have to say, it kind of felt like I was watching old home movies, you know, that had like some of my aunts who died in it or something, not to be morbid, but it felt like I have these very deep connection to these women and yet they're gone. It felt, even though these are the newest episodes, it felt like they were from long ago.
Interesting.
And it was something very melancholy. I mean, there was melancholy in the air, a little bit of nostalgia, because I'm sad that. But even last night when I was saying about that it was going to be the end, I challenged myself and I said, well, you know, it's the last chapter. And I go, well, it's the last chapter for now. But do we think it's the last chapter truly?
I
don't know. You hope so?
Yeah. I hope so because... So, for those who don't know or have been living under a rock,
yes,
that's
And
Johnny.
Just Like That is ending at season 3. So we wanted to do an episode, obviously celebrating the life and now the loss of legendary, iconic television franchise. And the reason I say I think it's good for it to end now is because there have been so many different iterations of the same thing. You know, we had Sex and the City, the show, then they brought back the movies, and now we have And Just Like That. And it kind of feels as though like Carrie and Big in a way. It's like you get there and then it's not there. And then you get it and then it's not. Like it's a lot of up and down, and I think I would like to see it end. I would like to see a nice little bow on our beautiful box, you know, because I still go back and watch. I mean, we have And Just Like That, but I still go back and watch old episodes of Sex and the City when I feel like I need to put something on TV and like I'm doing chores, but I'll sit down and I'll watch it while I'm doing stuff. You know, it's just a comfort watch.
It's a perfect show in that way. Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. I think it's time to close the book.
Yeah. I was on Twitter and I read someone say they deserve their happily ever after, whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
And just to let them, you know, maybe 20 years from now we'll do something, but to let them let these characters rest.
Yeah.
And just we leave them and let us daydream about what happens next for them. You know?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the whole point. It's like the ellipsis of, like, I remember when I lived in New York, the ellipsis of like thinking, I wonder what Carrie is doing right now, you know, in this day of our Lord 2016. Like, I wonder what, you know, Miranda's getting into. And then we got And Just Like That, and we got that kind of like view into who they are now. And I kind of want to leave them there and wonder, like, was there ever another Mr. Big? Like, did it ever happen? You know, you know.
I think they've done a really interesting job, like from a writing perspective. Like, there were a couple mishaps this season for sure that, you know, like Lisa Wexley's dad dying twice, and just like that, you know, those kind of things, which like in culture, I'm like kind of happy it happened because I'm just like LOL to that, you know, around the show. But I also think like, you guys, this isn't just like that. Like, the writing has always been such its own character. It's thing that like, yeah, the girls are there and we love them, and like they bring the writers words to, you know, from the page alive. But, you know, we have Michael Patrick King who writes some really great ideas and like sets up some amazing moments for us, right? And I what I liked about this last episode was this feeling of like her coming back home, or like will she or won't she be going back home and to the visiting the old apartment. And if you, well, also guys, if you haven't watched the penultimate episode, like don't listen to this. And just like there was something beautiful that I had been missing, I think, in the last, definitely in the last 2 seasons, or just even around Sarah Jessica and Carrie, like as her performance. I kept saying, I was like, I feel like she's like not doing her Carrie thing, you know, like when she was younger and she just felt a little bit more alive. There's something a little bit more subdued around her, but also she's older and a widow, and she's wiser, and so I had to be a little bit more forgiving on like I had to be like, oh, like she is literally like we're watching her grow, right? And I felt at the beginning of this episode when they're like all three in her new house and they're chatting and they're drinking Cosmos, I thought like, oh, like there's a semblance of like what they used to be in the way that they were just like talking about their lives. And it really made me realize how lucky we are to live in a world where like that left such an impact on us and then came back. And it's been amazing to watch them do well, fuck up, it not be perfect. And to just see them still kind of be there has been like kind of a gift. And to kind of piggyback what Johnny's saying, it's like I am a little ready for them to. I just like don't really want to watch them further. I think it's like it's gone where it's need to go, and I think all of our imaginations like could use the daydreaming, and we don't need someone else to keep writing it. You know, it's like, okay, like let's take this moment, but it's been nice. Like I won't lie, you know what I mean? I don't like the lighting. The lighting has really been pissing me off. I'm like, this feels like a Hallmark film movie. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but other than that, and like, you know, I'll always have my little soft spot for like this incredible show.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I'll tell you, yes. To the lighting
Like
specifically.
all the things.
So is Sex in the City starting to look Hallmark, or is Hallmark starting to look like HBO Max? Do you know what I mean? Are they stepping up their budget too, so that the production quality on like the latest Jonathan Bennett, like no, that production value is, so it's like everything is kind of meeting.
Oh,
in the
that's it.
middle.
Yes, I see what you mean. Yep, maybe.
you know what I
maybe.
mean?
I don't watch a
But-
lot of Hallmark, so I don't know. But like,
But I
buy
think
that.
it's also like that is the Sex in the City felt New York, felt edgy, felt like
real.
It felt like New York then,
Yeah.
and just like that feels like New York now. You know, a little more spruced up, a little more
Sure.
tech bro, a little more.
Yeah.
You know, I can see the sheen of the cinematography fitting with the
This
New York
world.
City of today.
Yeah.
Not to say
Yeah.
that New York isn't gritty; she's always going to be the dirty girl, but like
Yeah.
the way these ladies interpret New York City feels a little more, you know, a little
HD.
higher brow.
A little higher,
Yes.
sure, higher depth.
That's why I
yeah.
don't want her to move back into that fucking shoebox.
No.
No,
I like where she
horrendous.
is.
Move on. You know,
I like where she is.
Where she is now is fantastic. It's exquisite. Who has that? Who gets that?
Exactly.
Nobody.
And
Who wants
that
that?
is happening at the same time. It's like, well, who has that? It's amazing, but it's also she's single, and this last episode was really honing in on, you know, this idea of like, well, she's alone, and like how sad that is. Like when she has the conversation with her publisher, who's like, where's that ending chapter? Like, you know, back in the day, you know, that would be a tragedy. And like, we don't, maybe, but I think about like Elizabeth Bennet. I think about like the Jane Austens who like, possibly, that is so true. And to like kind of have that be the theme of that episode, I thought was really, I don't know, I liked it because I do think there's something about the power in her being alone and feeling like, I mean, who knows what happens, but like, you know, the next episode is called like Party of One. You know what I mean? So I actually think there's something kind of like full circle satisfying about we've seen her go through all these iterations with men.
Obviously, they've made a statement with her against the house and volume and space and not really settling in. It's been a metaphor for where Carrie is. That Gramercy Park townhouse is representative of so many things, of the wealth that she's amassed, of the loneliness, of the grandeur. the space that she now requires.
Yeah, which
You know?
she has, but she's also made it super warm. I loved that moment when Charlotte was like, I was worried there for a second, which tells you like, oh, like, so you were worried up until this point, but now you're saying it. And like, I mean, she is single. She's not with you because she didn't want to say anything about Aiden for a while there,
Sure.
And like, and it's true. Like she's in her own home and she decorated it. It's warm because it's Carrie. And that's kind of nice. Like to see that.
I want to get your opinion, Johnny, on something. Both of you, actually. Ian brought this up, and it's the kind of the what people have criticized as the writing room shortcomings of the show, which there are. I mean, let's be real. But one in particular is like the Lisa Wexley double patricide that he died more than once, right?
Yeah.
Which has been people have claimed onto that as an example. I see that as yes, it's sloppy. It's not the tidiest. It doesn't feel the most expensive, like, polished version of the show. But part of me is also like, so what? Who cares? I'm like, I Love Lucy for many seasons. All she wanted to do was like, Ricky, put me in the act. She doesn't get in the act. Tries another way, put me in the act. It's like, it's just who cares? It's just something to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the reason we can't suspend our disbelief as much with Sex and the City as we would with, what is the name of this lady who's got the new sitcom on that's like Reba 3.0 on Netflix? Leanne. Leanne's going to do crazy things. And I was going to be like, yeah, but that doesn't really make sense. Because like if she left her office at noon, she would not be home by 1 p.m.
But it's different. That is a fully different like style of show.
It is.
And this is not a sitcom. It's not a Hallmark movie. Like, anyway, but okay, keep going.
I see. I do see your point. I guess I've just never seen Sex and the City as like The Sopranos. And I think we often treat it like it's The Bear.
Wait, but no, I think that's the whole thing is it was never that, and we loved it for not being that, and then it came back to end just like that, and then it was either something was amiss, and it wasn't doing what it used to do, which has been like...
I hate to disagree. I think it was at that level. I don't think it wasn't a drama, obviously, but it definitely tackled like real issues in a way that felt like pushing the envelope, sexy, gritty, on the edge. And just like that, to me, does not feel like that. It feels like a bubblier version of what used to be. And that might be just because the characters are older, and when you're older, you're a little more serious, and things aren't as chaotic, as they are in your 30s. But I think that is what a lot of viewers are missing. It's not so much the writing. I think the viewers just miss the old girls. They're also. I would love to like talk to women in their 40s and 50s and ask them what they think about these women that are older now, what they're going through on this show, because a lot of us miss the old girls, but a lot of us are the old girls now, if that makes sense. Like a lot of us are in our 30s and experiencing life the way they used to experience it. And now the way they experience it now is not where we are yet. A lot of us don't have children that are in the high school play, and, husbands that have passed and things like that. I will say one thing I really have liked
husbands have passed. They're just not dead yet.
One thing I've really enjoyed about Carrie and just like that is the slow burn of her finding herself wherever she is in this moment, because for so long her identity was wrapped up in Big. And, when he was no longer died basically in season 1, it was kind of like she was almost finding a new identity. And like season 2 was like her throwing her full self into trying to make Aiden work and bending to his whim. And, season 3, like you said, is a little more selfish. She's like, you know what? No, and that actually reminds me a little bit of the old Carrie of like, this isn't working for me. And just because someone's been in your life for that long doesn't mean you have to keep them around. There's a lot that does work. I mean, there's things that I wouldn't do that are there, obviously, but
yeah,
it is what it is. It's like I don't care. Also,
I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed these 3 seasons, and I think more than the average bear. I was really trying to think about why that is, and I guess it's just because I'm accepting it for what it is. I think it's a valiant effort. but I love Mamma Mia too. So, like I'm on the journey. Like I'm not a snob about it. And I think a lot of people have been, it's just never going to be what it was.
Yeah.
Charlie,
Right.
why can't it be like it was? Because it's not. It's like it is. Actually, and just like that is what it is. But you can't hold it to a lot of some of those standards and
But
apply the rules of 2016 to a series today.
Totally. And yes, it's interesting because so much of the conversations on TikTok is like, this actually wouldn't be, this wouldn't be what a 40, I am their age. And like, these are not the conversations we're having. I remember watching that video from a girl talking and that's like a separate thing. But what I deep down love about people being snobby about it is because they love it. Is because
exactly.
they know it so well, they want it to be something else, and I get it. It's not that. It is literally and just like that, like you said. But at the core, there's this, it's because they love it so much. So that's like a
Right. It's like the haters are the people that it's like a pop star girl. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like sometimes your fans, like Ariana Grande's fans, are some of the most vicious little assholes to
Yeah.
her, but they don't realize it's because to her they are this god, this thing.
Yeah.
So they're like, no, I don't like it when you do it that way. Sing this way, and it's like they're just so excited to be part of the journey that like there's so much there's so much investment in it for it to pay off the way they want it to pay off. And I think the writers and Michael and Sarah they all understand that, and they're like, but this is how we're doing it, and that's that. And we're all like, hey, yeah, and just like that.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, two things. This is a hot take from the house of Alina Falcon. This is my mother, so I'm not going to claim it as my own, so I wish I could because it's a fantastic take. Okay. She thinks that the response that what you're citing is kind of like the distance that some of the viewers are having with it now.
Yeah.
Is the presence of money. And I blame two characters, and their name are Lisa and Seema.
okay.
The way that they handle finances, money, status is totally different than our old gals did and even do now.
Right.
Our original OGs that are left are much richer. Well, yeah, even Miranda. They're all
Miranda,
richer
yeah.
now than they were, right? Everybody.
Yeah.
But they're still treating money, the three of them, similarly.
Right.
We
to each other.
Yes, and to us, the audience.
Right. Okay.
Charlotte is still Charlotte. Like, she's obnoxious, but she's not a snob.
Yeah.
She's, she doesn't seem like she's trying to buy her way through anything. Versus Seema. Seema's identity is so tied in her, like, just like I have this and you do not. There is so much of that in her character, which I find to be believable.
Right.
I find it to be believable. Or like Lisa's character, like this, she left Brooklyn, she doesn't go back, she doesn't talk to these people who, I believe that lady sitting across from her stepmommy had not been to Brooklyn in years. I believe that. That she does not leave Manhattan.
Right.
Because she is a snob. I mean, I'm not putting a value judgment on it.
Right.
So now we have that. And then the other women are just richer. And so we used to suspend our disbelief. Like, who's buying the Jimmy Choos? Who's buying the Manolos? I don't know. They're all just trying to make it. But now they're all just super, uber, duper, mega rich. Mm-hmm. And I think that has created distance with the viewer. And that started in the films. I think that's really started in the films. The idea that we would be aspirational went out of aspiration and just became untangible.
Flash.
Flash.
Grandiosity just for the sake of leveling it up.
Yeah.
It became aware of itself, but yet not aware of itself.
Okay, one more thing about the writing of And Just Like That.
Yes.
These women have been around a lot. Their reaction to things that they've experienced are so over the top.
This season, you mean like...
And then Just Like That. They're so surprised by things that happen in the city. Charlotte's reaction to the rich man kissing her in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like Rolf, the Swedish man.
Yeah.
Charlotte's over the top, of course. But her reaction was as if she has never seen a man on earth and a man has never kissed woman. Miranda's reaction to Rosie O'Donnell being a virgin is like, sex is here. I'm a virgin. She lied to me. A woman came to the city. She wants me to go to the M&M's. It's like so over the top. Like that's not how a woman reacts to something. And it just felt like y'all are that new.
Yeah, that's
y'all
what
are really that fresh on the block.
Yeah,
like that is how you're reacting. The SEMA scene where she's rejecting the men was the most
she goes on a bunch of
electric
dates?
chair sequence I have ever seen in my life. That poor woman, what they did in that writing to her. What an unlikable cunt. Jesus Christ. What the fuck was that? To a brown woman, of course. Samantha would have never been quite so acerbic in the way that she reached out to every man. But that's two problems that I had with the writing. But here nor there.
Yeah.
Enough and just like that.
Yeah.
Back to positive things.
Back to positive things. There were beautiful positive things, interesting things that were written in about people's kind of like relationship with the show. And obviously, like, and just like that, but like we kind of opened it up to Sex and the
grander
City.
franchise. Yeah.
Yeah. What were some of the great ones that we loved that we wanted to discuss?
Oh, yes. We had our spilled milk, which we typically do, but today we did a little bit different. We just asked people to reflect on the show, and we pulled some up. And so we're going to pull some up, and then we'll discuss them and give our little thoughts. Okay, which one do you want to read first? Let's do Ali Stroker's first.
Okay, great.
You read it, Ian.
Sure. So this is from Ali Stroker, friend of the pod.
Tony Award winner,
yes, for Sex and the City. She said, "It is the reason I wanted to live in New York. I wanted to be Carrie." I think we can all agree that we've either felt that in some sort of way. I certainly understand that. It was one of the big reasons why I wanted to live in the cosmopolitan city of New York.
Yeah. I think there will be think pieces and essays. I'm sure they're already written if we looked in some academic journals about how the cost of being a Carrie. And I don't mean the financial cost, although that is stratospheric. When I mean to the cost of being a Carrie is at the end, the cheese may stand alone. Being a woman who jumps for, like I'm not putting a value judgment on this, but I think that there will be a thing where it's like, can she have it all? Maybe not. Can she be a woman who writes about sex and men and talks about her experiences and dates and goes from man to man and does this and makes a mess of it? Maybe. Maybe at the end of the day, Carrie ends up in her townhouse, and that dream that we all wanted
for her,
that we reached exactly for her and for us, left us in a retirement home with no one to change our diapers. I'm not being
so
serious,
you wrote the essay. So you're the one.
Exactly. I'm saying that is. I feel like that is one of the like in the future the analysis of this moment of what that generation of woman Fagoon
gay man
wanted in coming to this city and those dreams. But we all wanted to be a Carrie.
When I was thinking about what did I want Carrie to be like in this iteration, I kind of wanted what that woman sounded like in the last episode that we did. The woman that wrote that article about men, where have you gone?
Oh, Rachel Drucker. Yeah.
Yes.
I was like,
yes!
Carrie would be on Raya. She would be on Raya, and she would be writing about how the digital age has changed things, and men, where are you? And then, you'd have an episode where a guy wrote back, and it was like, we're right here. And it's like, she's like, who wrote that?
Yeah.
And it's like another male writer, and they get into it, and then they, have sex, and they leave each other, and then, she's at the end of the episode, and she's like, and then, a woman had to wonder, were the men really gone? I don't know. Like, I love the idea of celebrating that we do change, we do get older, but just because we get older doesn't mean we change all that much. I think, women in their 60s, 70s, 80s still date, still have, they might date differently, but they still have that. And then they might have it to the very end. And I feel like sometimes we like you were saying, it's like she might end up by herself all alone, and it's like
Or
she might end up by herself
Dating
living still.
yes.
Because I'm like, I still know these ladies in their 60s and 70s going to the Hamptons in the summer and da 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 da, and still loving and but there's a
Look
there's
at
a
Ramona
more,
Singer.
yes, there's more confidence in it, because there's like,
Yeah.
this might be it, and I better get happy, or I'm gonna be devastated if I'm always wishing that hopefully I get my happy ending. Like, maybe this is the happy ending. Like, even just Carrie living in that house, that big house that she built by herself. Not that she built, but the house, the metaphoric house that she built on her own.
Yeah.
With all those articles about the men that didn't work out, but look at this worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if in the scene where Aiden comes back and tells Carrie that he slept with his ex-wife, right? Imagine the way that happened is it played out and it became the cerebral meditation on like when she's like, oh, I didn't agree to that.
Yeah, I love
Imagine if like I didn't agree to that, and we go to a sequence with like Nelly Furtado's Man-Eater playing under it, and us flashing through like every man that she's had sex with in the past 3 months. And it's all of a sudden it can be as serious as cancer right after that. But in that moment, we just like have like a flash of like, I'm still Carrie, babe.
Yeah.
Like right now, it just seemed like, oh, I didn't agree to that. I didn't really do much with it, but I didn't agree to it. Okay,
Yeah.
well, so then I want to see the conflict in that.
And I think what you both are kind of speaking to is what I've been missing from her. As I just think there's that like Carrie like just like that way she would process that thing about her, that kind of what you're saying is like the conflict I have been missing. Like I feel like it's so somber. You can have the moments and the scenes that are written for you, but you've lost the aliveness that you once had in these same kind of situations where it's like she's more opinionated and she's still. That's why Joey Harrow and I went on back and forth about this. He was like, she's coming alive with Duncan. I was like, is she? It's still not. To me, if I was directing, I would have been like, Sarah Jessica, like, really just like pretend you're 35 right now. I don't know how else to say it, but just like that thing is what I think was like feeling a little like serious and somber. You know what I mean? Like she's just now so like thinking, and she's just like looking, and it's.
Aiden's family is electric chair, by the way.
Oh.
Aiden's
I
family
can't with
is
that.
electric chair. That little Wyatt,
Crazy.
that Unabomber,
Get
lock him
outta
up.
here. Kill
Lock him up.
I will,
Wyatt deserves to be in prison.
Crazy.
I will say that one of the things I love about like the show in general is the love of New York City that kind of spanned all of its iterations. And like, I think especially after 9/11 and all of that stuff happened, we really needed, these shows to really bring us back to the love of New York City. And I feel like shows like Sex and the City have done such a great job of, getting that economy going, time and time again. And
Yes, they have.
that is something that I loved about Sex and the City specifically, is because the places that they would go, the bars, the events the openings, all of that stuff that when you live in New York City, you realize that the places and the people and the events that you go to, and you might not even be like in the industry. It's just like your friend has an opening for a
It's
book.
New York.
It's New York. Yes, you're going to all of these. And there's the rooftop barbecue with the girls in the West Village. There's I loved, because it is so true to how you experience New York, and it is one of the reasons why people cannot give it up.
Yeah,
is because there's so many stories written, even within the year and the seasons that you go through. And that's why I love the idea of Carrie leaving that apartment. I feel like she should have done it earlier, because how many apartments have like we moved in New York City that like those. That was when I was this person and I lived in Hell's Kitchen, and now I'm here. And, it's just, I think, such a beautiful love letter to the city. And my second one, I think someone else had written this. I don't know who it was. Dennis Neroli says the fashion
My
used to
friend
be
from Chicago.
aspirational. Now it's chaotic costuming. Like I understand what he means by like the costuming now. The costuming now feels it distracts a little bit. I will say in Sex and the City, for me, fashion only revolved around Carrie. You know, the other girls wore nice things, but Carrie was the one that really took the chances. You know, she wore the bird in her nest in her head, you know, and everyone else kind of fell in line with who they were. And I thought it was such a beautiful way of telling, you know, costuming, telling a story. Whereas now it's like, you know, Lisa will always have something cuckoo bananas on.
Baby,
Like-
they will put that woman in a cool lot. Romper room, Sound of Music.
Yeah. And, you know, I love the ode to, I think fashion really took notes from the show.
You mean like the fashion industry while the show was happening?
Yes, Sex and the City paved the way for Devil Wears Prada.
Oh
that
my God.
paved the way for, you know, things like the Met Ball, the Met Gala to be as prominent as it is now. You know, the way that we talked about fashion when Carrie wore something, the next day People magazine would have where those shoes came from. You know,
How to do it for less.
Correct. Like we all wanted to. These characters were aspirational. It was the fashion was because also fashion now is so much more commercial, so much more clicky. Like you know, you can find it in 2 seconds anywhere, everywhere. Shein, Fashion Nova, you name it. But back then, you had those one of a kind pieces that were like, oh, I aspire to own a Manolo Blahnik one day.
Yeah.
You know, and
Created
now
that.
it's just like Manolo Blahnik is in the sea of all of these other shows, and I think that's also part of the issue with, and I don't want to say issue with, and Just Like That, but and Just Like That came back at a time when it is the big guns, people will watch it, but there's so much more on TV now that it takes so much to grab the attention. And you know, Sex and the City was one of, you know, maybe 15 shows at the time that was really, you know, changing the game. So it's really hard to compare the two. I don't love when people do it because it doesn't feel fair. The chips are stacked against and Just Like That, but I think they've done a wonderful job of making us feel like there they are. Those are our girls. Even if we're like, that's not how she would do it. You're also like, maybe she like Charlotte. Someone else wrote something that Charlotte is just, you know,
As
In the
neurotic
same
as-
neurotic loop, they said.
yeah, but also she isn't in the same way. She's neurotic now with her family and all of the things, but that is the life that she wanted. That is who she always wanted to be, and she gets to be that now. You know, the only one that always surprised me is Miranda, because you know, Miranda used to be
Straight.
100%, you know, but now she's, I don't know, she used to have it so together, and I think that's also kind of cool. Like maybe she did go through a midlife crisis and everything.
You know, what you just said is how much it just made me go like how much of watching who I loved in her. She was my favorite out of, like when I was first watching, like, you know, now everyone's like, yeah, girl, you're a Carrie. Okay. Next in line. You know what I mean? But really at 25 years ago, I was like, Miranda to me was so like the real one, you know, like, and I think why I got kind of like, yes, exactly. And you know,
exactly.
like she to me felt someone closest to like, oh, like I just agree with how she's going about it, and she's just like very, you know, she says it like it is. And so to see the shift in her as a character and kind of like spiral and deal with some pretty big disastrous things was hard to watch, I think, is what was going on too. It was just like, oh, don't do that to my character. Don't do that to this idea of a person that has always been like such a real person on the show. They all have, right? But I think that was a bit of like the death of like the Miranda as I wanted it,
Once knew her.
and as it was prepared for us for such a long time. And the chipping away just was like, I think I had a hard time
letting go of that.
letting go.
Yeah. But part of that also is that, you know, having it together and making it look like you're together and being a lawyer and doing all these things and following the rules. Someone who follows the rules that long, it would make sense that there would be an undoing, that there would be problems with alcohol.
Sure, yeah.
Like that it does have like it does I see what you mean, but I can see the academic reasoning for her now change. To go back to the topic of fashion. If you had to choose one or two looks, you can choose one or two looks from the entire series that you just adore. Series, movies, and just like that. Just outfits that will just stay with you forever.
Okay. She wore a tulle skirt. She goes to dinner with Big. They're trying to be friends. I'm painting the picture because maybe it will help remind you. And she is coming out of that Lincoln, whatever, black car that he was always in. And she wore a cardigan sweater, kind of like over the shoulder with it. Mm-hmm. And it was like, and it was like sandy, like light, like whatever. I love that outfit. I that was a moment in time too where makeup and hair for her were to me kind of the quintessential Carrie's found herself. She's the brightest, her hair is the curliest, and the skirts are just, everything about it was perfect. And I think that cardigan was like a grayish blue that they end up bringing back on, and just like that, and she wears kind of, again, I forget what that outfit was, but that is one of my favorite moments of hers.
For me, I think this is the scene that I'm like, I think, it's been a while, but I think it's a scene where she sees Big and Natasha, and she's dressed in that like tube toppy shirt with the cowboy hat, and
she hides. Is she hiding?
No, I think she's hiding, but then they like see her or whatever, and she has to like kind of be like, hey, how are you? How's it going? Like, and just the juxtaposition between her and Natasha in that scene, she looked like the unserious girl that Big has sex with, and Natasha looked like marriage material. And
Jackie
I thought
O.
it was it burned into my brain. I mean, obviously not enough, because I'm still wondering if that's the scene I'm thinking about. But I just remember how embarrassed she looked, and how like she looked so unserious as a person. Like that was the time where you're like, you look at Carrie's fashion, you're like, yeah, that's Carrie, so kooky, so fun, so crazy. But when you put her in front of the man that she loves, and the man that she loves is with someone who looks completely different than her, like a Stepford wife model-esque, and she's shorter, you like just the camera framing and everything. It really was such a beautiful way of telling the story, like the things that are not on the page.
Sure, yeah.
Really painting that picture. I thought it was such a great way for costume.
Ooh, I want to find that. I want it just so I can, like, because I want to, remember. Juan?
Yeah.
I have two that I love. One's a Carrie, one's a Miranda.
Ooh.
One of my favorite Carrie looks, there's so many that I love, but it is
know,
the
it's hard.
Christian Dior, John Galliano for Christian Dior newspaper dress.
Oh.
I
It's
just
amazing.
love that newspaper dress.
Yeah.
The reason I love that dress is because it's a going out dress.
Yeah.
She's wearing gorgeous shoes. I think a Fendi handbag. I can't remember what the handbag
or Christian
was.
Dior. It might have been Christian Dior.
Maybe also Christian. It may have been just all Christian. But the point is, it's the John Galliano printed newspaper dress. It looks like she went to Bergdorf, bought it, put it on, went out. There's no accessorizing. It's just her body, her hair, the glow. It's perfect. It's perfect. And my second favorite look is, I actually love what they did with Miranda in the second Sex in the City film when they go to
Abu Dhabi?
Abu Dhabi. I thought, or Dubai.
No.
Abu Dhabi.
Abu
They go
Dhabi.
to Abu Dhabi, yeah. They go to Abu Dhabi, and I love the clothing in that movie. But that's when we're already getting from the unattainable to the, like just, or to the aspiration or to the unattainable. Miranda's outfit, when they go to the desert, Miranda looks exquisite. It's crisp and lesbianic, yet Miranda, but also fashion forward.
Yeah.
It looks like Miranda said, I've got money now. I've got to keep up with these bitches. We're going to Abu Dhabi. Let me really put something together for this event. She looks like a mix of Diane Sawyer and it's like Diane Sawyer and Anna Wintour together. it's just perfect. It's just
Yeah.
a great look for her, and I love what they do with the fashion for all of them in that movie. I just
Yeah.
think they all look exquisite.
Yeah, especially the travel, like when they're getting on the plane and then they come off, and it's so well done. And you're right, I was always pretty impressed and really liked what they did with Miranda, because they kind of had to not make her just be this boring lawyer lady. Like she ran that line of like regular. I mean, I guess you're saying that about Carrie too, Johnny. Is like she had moments of just being like kind of all over the place when she would go drop off her dry cleaning, and like there's that one moment where she's not wearing culottes, but it's like she's wearing the most random capris with like a tube top, and you know she's got a bandana on her arm, and that might be the episode where she's like smoking weed. We got smoking a doobie, you know what I mean? Anyway,
Do you know what I loved when I was watching this last episode of And Just Like That? You know, when she goes into her old apartment and she opens the door and it's all those like young guys or young kids like sitting around at this like party that her friend is throwing. It reminded me of episode 1, season 1 of Sex and the City, when Carrie goes, when she, you know, they still have the voiceover, and she goes to that party and it's just like the camera's moving around crazy and weird. And it's just like, wow, that's what she was. That group of people was what she used to be around. Like that's how she used to hang. And now she's the woman that comes in and she's like, hi, this used to be my old place. Like, I don't know. I thought it was beautiful storytelling, and like, I don't know if it was meant to feel like that, but I feel like as an audience member, it was just a nice like callback.
They've had a few really well executed moments where Carrie's character acknowledges her age in a room with a lot of younger people. We've gotten to see her be, now that I often feel like,
the older
I
person
was
in
the
the
cool
room?
kid in the cool
Oh.
rooms. Now I'm like the oldest cool kid in the cool room, but soon will be the way, like, and I just love how they've negotiated that, because they want her there. It's not like she feels like unwanted. It's just like she's just older than they are.
Yeah.
So she
Yeah.
approaches things differently.
I listened to the podcast that's like, Michael Patrick is on it, and it's like 3 other writers. It's like Julia and Lucas and some other person or whatever. And they were discussing the episode, and they were saying that like, she's going back to this place, and like as an audience, like you're wondering like, is she going to move back? Like, what are we plugging in here? But she moves back, she opens the door, and she's like, there's a wall, and it's like, whoa, that was supposed to sort of symbolize something. To hear him talk about how and the decisions made for why those things are there was really just cool. Like as a creative, if you're a writer, if you're just someone who's like, oh my God, like there's like, you peel a layer off and it all matters. Like it all has something to do, and then like her walking through, he describes like when he looks over and there's this party with like people she doesn't know, the whole apartment is like a completely different vibe, and there's a dog in there, and we know that would never happen with Carrie. Like he was saying some things, and I'm like, wow, like this person, you guys
They've
really
thought about
know, they really have thought about it, and that was very cool to kind of understand. You know what I mean? Also, this just popped into my head, but did you guys, Johnny, do you know Millie? You know Millie. Yeah, you know Millie. Thoroughly Modern Millie.
Yes.
Like you grew up.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
didn't you sang it once on the episode?
Bad boy. Yeah.
Correct. I thought like when that started, I had a moment where I was like, oh my God, like what? Like it's one of my favorite musicals. Like I have a lot of history with that, obviously Gavin and Sutton, but I just thought like of all the musicals and how they weaved that in with the forgetting about the boy and all of them trying to forget about their, I just thought that was like, what?
That's very,
for all of us musical theater
yeah,
guys.
that's very Sex in the City in general. They do a really great job of pointing out things in the episode that really play to like what the characters are going through.
Yes.
One of the other things I loved that I think Rachel wrote about the series, both series, female friendships carry us through. They are the most important and fulfilling of our lives. I'm not a woman, but I do think that watching these women and seeing their complicated existences, their complicated love lives, their complicated work lives, all of it really showed it was the new version of, say, like Golden Girls of the 80s and early 90s. This was late 90s. It was the new ladies, new women. This is how, just like Girls was for the early 2000s. I thought it really moved the needle, and it showed how outside of love, while these women were still looking for love, and sometimes in a traditional way, they had each other in between and throughout to hold each other accountable, to hold each other up, to take care of each
Yes.
other, to be there through all of the ups and downs of dating. And it reminds me of why things like this podcast exist, because it is just a way of showing what we go through in life, what we are each other's witnesses to who we are, who we were then. Sometimes I'll see like a Carrie and Miranda like spar, and I think of me and Ian and how like sometimes I am like Miranda to him in like this is what it is, and he's like, okay, well, I don't need to hear it that way. And it reminds me of that beautiful scene where they're in the changing room, or they're at that store. That's one of my favorite
Oh, their fight.
scenes. When they're like, and she's like, I feel like you're judging me right now, and like the
Oh yes.
Such
Sorry.
a
She's like,
beautiful-
Carrie, you've done this before. What are you gonna do? Run back again? And she's just like,
Yeah. And like
It's
those scenes at cafeteria wouldn't mean as much if you didn't have the scenes like the one in the dressing room where they're fighting. Like, it is a beautiful window into female friendship, but also friendship in general, and how, are you the Carrie? Are you the Miranda? Are you the Samantha? Whatnot.
yeah,
It's a
that
beautiful
question
Yeah.
lives in the world is so cool.
Yeah, I mean the show is truly an ode to the feminine, and the feminine, divine femininity of
Yes.
of life, of what it
Yes.
is in this world, that women can have friendships like this. It's actually kind of the weird curse, this is not an easy world to be a
Right.
woman, right?
Right.
It's not, right? Men have stacked the deck against women for millennia, but they have a superpower, and that superpower is emotional depth.
Yeah.
That is like that is the thing that is their superpower, that they can have these kinds of friendships. That's why there are shows like The Golden Girls and Sex and the City, because it reflects life, and in life friendships like this can happen. And to Rachel's point, these female friendships are the thing that will carry you through your life. And
Well done.
to men who are willing to open their hearts, may also be able to have friendships like this. And it's why gay men have friendships like this, because they have access to their feminine superpowers in their heart and in their soul. So, this is a celebration of that. So yes, beautiful female friendships, and we're lucky to have friendships like the ones that we have on this episode of Tres Leches. My little Johnny, my little Ian, que bello. Okay, this is one somewhat catty one, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay. Wrap
One
up.
somewhat catty one, and it's been the elephant in our room, and we haven't even acknowledged it. And it's Samantha's absence is the elephant in every scene, and they just never found a good workaround, and that is the truth.
Yeah.
They they should have killed her off. They should have killed her off, or they should have just replaced her like they did on Bewitched, and just we go with it, and we just have to recalibrate and get used to a new woman.
Okay.
I've gone back and
As
forth with this
Samantha?
because I just don't think. I was reading like a listicle of like top 20 best Sex and the City characters, and Samantha was number one. I think it was Collider that wrote it.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's crazy. But I agree. Samantha was always the one that I was like, you know what? Yes. And there was no one else that could have played her but Kim Cattrall. I think that, and just like that, it was, I don't know if it was an attempt, but it was definitely, they were just trying to add more to the pot, and to make up for her absence by throwing in some new characters, which I've really grown to love a lot of the new characters. But that's the thing with the dynamic. When you set up a really hard, strong dynamic of four, it's like losing a limb, it's like it is not the same. And while in the first season, I thought they were like trying to see who could be the next, Samantha. I feel like as time has gone on, they're like, we've given up on that. There is no other Samantha, but
Yeah.
this is who they are without her. But it always felt a little different because
Yeah, you lose that access and that channel of fun and realism. Like, you know, Miranda is actually kind of the pessimist of the group. Charlotte's the optimist, Carrie's the dreamer, and Samantha was always the realist. Like, always kind of saying, like, this is what it is, girls. You know, and when you don't have that to kind of balance out the other three, you really miss it. You know? So yes, that is.
It's like the band. It's like, you know, like I just saw this thing of like Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks coming back to stage together, and it's like, oh, you forget, like, there's so much personal dynamic behind the scenes that you're like, oh, but if they could just work it out on the remix, you know, that would be so great. But sometimes it doesn't happen, and you know, I have to respect the girls for still doing their thing, and I respect Kim for, you know, choosing her journey, and you know, but and that's why, like, they both mean so much to us, because it's like, I feel like And Just Like That is a love letter to the fans. Like, hey, we couldn't give you what you had before, but this is what we have, and like,
and we're trying.
And I don't, and I don't mean it like, here's what you get, like leftovers. No, it's more like you're lucky we even have the energy to give you this. The means, and you know what I mean? Like, a lot of shows don't get that opportunity that are super beloved. So, you know, all that to say, Samantha's absence, yes, felt, but the fact that she even existed was exciting.
Is amazing. And you know, I actually, this might be a bit of a throw it out into the universe manifest moment, but like, I feel like you just never know. The Gilded Age got canceled and they came back. So, you know,
they did?
Yes.
Gilded Age didn't get canceled, it just got renewed.
No, not this season. Kitties, I know I've quoted Deborah Cox before, and maybe that was incorrect, but I know what I'm talking about with this one. But no, like 2 seasons ago, after that first season, they were not renewed. And time went by, and it was like, Gilded Age is coming back. So there's a world where that could possibly happen here, you know? And it's just like, I don't know. I'm literally kind of like instigating a thing right now for no other reason than just to be like,
no,
epilogue, actually.
And just like that, we're on Netflix.
Epilogue.
Yeah.
We won't end up alone.
Hallmark. Hallmark could be a beautiful home for And Just Like That.
God. Get out of here.
Well, okay, so wait. I know that we asked our dear listeners, our milkers, what was something that they'll take from the show, something that they'll treasure, their favorite memory, whatever it is. As you reflect back, what is that thing that you will always hold on to or be grateful to Sex and the City and the entire universe of the show for?
I'm grateful for the characters that have shown me before I lived them, moments that I have now also lived, things that I've experienced that have helped me not feel so alone in what I'm also going through, and also made me laugh while I was going through it, reminded me that it was going to be okay, and reminded me the power I really do feel in my friendships, and that level of I like aspire to kind of live like that. Like I it's, you know, to a detriment, sometimes I'm more Carrie than I should be these days, right? But they all live in us in a way that feels so like I couldn't imagine my life not knowing these girls. And I take away like the way they've helped me live my life.
Yeah. Because I knew you, I haven't
indeed.
changed. That's how I feel about, you know, Sex and the City is part of my lore, part of our lore. It is baked into, you know, when I think of great American classics, I think Sex
Arthur
and the
Miller.
City, Arthur Miller, right. All My Sons, you know, Anything Goes, Sex and the City, you know, it changed the way that we talked about women. It changed the way that we saw female friendships. It changed the way that we saw fashion. It changed the way that people wrote for television, for character-driven shows. It changed the way we straddled the line of drama and comedy. Sex in the City is really the blueprint for a lot of the content that we consume now, a lot of the personalities people have. So Real Housewives wouldn't have existed if there wasn't Desperate Housewives and Sex in the City before that. It is truly a moment in culture that changed it. So I will forever be grateful for it changing culture.
Juan, as you are about to give, I just have to say, there's a thing we haven't really discussed, but as we're doing this, it's like it also helped shape the way I think about sex. Like we've been talking about the girls and what they've been through, but it's like this, sex.
Therein lies kind of mine, actually.
Really? Okay, so go. But I just wanted, I was
No,
like, in case, that's such a big one.
My point is that as someone who always felt kind of, and I don't mean to sound, grandiose, but I just always kind of felt a little big for my britches. In Miami, I was just like, I know what this is. I just always got it. I always just felt very adult, even as a kid.
Yes.
I always felt very adult as a kid. I knew deep down, I had just a great sense of, I was savvy. I remember sitting in church and being looking around and be like, are they all in on this? Do they not see what I'm seeing? And kind of the validation is what I mean, is that Sex in the City gave to me about how I felt about sex, how liberated I felt inside. To see Samantha be so unapologetically empowered in her body, in the way that she talked about cock, the way that she talked about having sex with men, the way she evaluated them.
Yes.
The way that they all talked about dating, all of that. It just made me feel so, wow, it just deepened my understanding of myself, because I was like, okay.
Yes.
So that is to the sex portion of it. That leads into the sex, is that I loved seeing adults being adults.
Yeah.
It's a show in which we got to see adults behaving badly sometimes and making mistakes.
Doing their best.
And it not being about the mafia or, the Sopranos or, a like a crime series. No, it's just about adults doing adult things, smoking, getting drunk, having sex, making mistakes, losing someone's phone number on purpose. Whatever, all of that. And then I'm also really grateful for what it did for my connection to, very specifically, to my mother and to adult women in my life. It really humanized women for me as a young person. And it really connected me to, I don't know, it made me really see my mom as just like a lady.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, this is what women, it was the first time where you're like, oh, so we're all just girls trying to figure it out, even when we're older. And I think that's continued and just like that too. But Sex in the City, it gave me something to bond with my mom about in a really adult way, that was sexually mature. And I will just always be grateful for the conversations that it inspired. And I think that it also primed my mother perhaps for some of the just like the way I talk and the way I am. So I'm just grateful for that.
Yeah.
It made the world grow up a little bit.
Yes.
It made the world grow up a little bit.
Yes. And on slightly, if that was the I don't know, Bill of Rights, here's a little amendment. It brought us Anthony Marantino, Mario Cantone, on screen being like, no, like that also that level of these characters that were just so brutally honest. The show was so brutally honest, maybe slightly stereotypical at the time, but also it's like, it's what it was, you know what I mean? And I'm really grateful for love Samantha and everything she brought, but there's a thing about Sarah Jessica's essence as Carrie that is so satisfying and undeniably
yes.
You just
every single character in that show.
Yeah.
If you took any of them out, it just would not be the same.
Yeah.
It would change. It changes. And that's why, and just like that is different than Sex in the City, because it is different, but you still have your tried and true chess pieces that
Exactly.
that style of acting.
So it can't be said that we didn't talk about it at all. The idea that Sex in the City did have it had many shortcomings when it came to include racial diversity.
Sure.
It did. But you know what? I give them a hall pass. I give the show a hall pass because I really do think it was trying its best in the world that it existed.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think that it was. I think that we can point to a lot of other much more nefarious examples in which like diversity was avoided. Versus, I think this was just. I think everyone was just trying their best, and I think that that's why there's a lot of joy in the original series because it's just it's trying to push boundaries, and
It is.
it did push boundaries.
Yeah.
It
Correct.
pushed boundaries,
Yeah.
but it also tried to make us lean in and feel comfortable too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't try to push anyone too far away.
Yeah. Well,
And just like that,
And just like that.
as the three gay boys sat thinking, reminiscing of their lost time, maybe they realize that I don't know, I'm trying
Yes.
to come up with something cute and poetic to wrap it up. But, maybe it's not the end.
well, exactly. That's what she would say. She'd say, after a really, really long episode, they looked at each other on the screen and they realized, maybe this has to end, but we'll always be together.
Yeah.
And we really will, no matter what.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is the joy of the shows and what we do is that everything comes to an end at some point, but at least we'll have the time to be able to look back at who these characters were in those times, and that
Fondly.
we will always have that with, and just like that in Sex and the City, we'll always be able
Yeah.
to look back and say, and just for a moment, I remembered those are my girls.
Those are my girls. Those are my girls. We love you.
We love you guys. God is a woman. No.
Bye.
Bye.
Qué rico.